Hey there, folks. Welcome to another edition of Stranger in a Southern Land. I, of course, am your host, Jake Manning. Today on the program, we have Brad from the Unknown Brewery. Brad let me know that there is a big difference between Unknown Brewery and the Unknown Brewery. I kind of glazed over it a little bit, but he stopped me and corrected me and explained to me the difference. And, we had a wonderful conversation about his career in craft beer because he's held just about every title there is to hold in craft beer. And another reason why this is a wonderful interview, because Brad is cool as shit. That's right, I just cursed right here at the top of the podcast. But, just to be forewarned, if you don't like cursing, and strong language and strong opinions, then, maybe you need to turn this one off. So you've been forewarned. But you know what? I think Brad's allowed to have a few strong opinions because he knows his shit. But anyways, let me give you some advance warning about some dates coming up. This Friday, April 24th, I'll be at West Lincoln High School in Lincolnton, North Carolina for George South's EWA. We'll be doing the Anderson Brothers Classic. That's an annual event. Has the Anderson Brothers been run as annually as it says? I don't know, but George South plays by a different set of rules, very similar to Brad. For more information about that show, make sure you go to georgesouth.com. Also, too, I want to give you advance warning. May the 1st, that is a Friday, I will be returning to Charlotte, North Carolina. A lot of people ask me, when are you going to be wrestling in Charlotte once again? Well, I will be wrestling in Charlotte, May the 1st, Tremont Music Hall for Trans-South Wrestling. Also want to let you know on May 2nd, I will be returning to Cameron, North Carolina for Omega Championship Wrestling. I will be at Union Pines High School. So when I'll be returning for Omega Championship Wrestling, again in Cameron, North Carolina. Anyways, if you want to follow me and figure out what my adventures are each weekend and figure out where I'm at, make sure you follow me at ManScoutManning on Twitter. If you have any questions about the podcast, make sure you email me at jake@sslshow.com. Or if you want to book me for a wrestling show, make sure you email me at manscoutmanning@yahoo.com. But anyways, let's jump into this podcast interview with Brad because he's cool as shit. And he knows his shit about craft beer, and he runs the Unknown Brewery. So let's jump into this interview here on Stranger in a Southern Land. Oh, I'm going to have a hard time trying to figure out. I'm going to try and take a drink of my microphone. If I double fist it.
You're going to talk into your beer and,
I'm
try to sip in the wrong thing.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, Brad, we are sitting here in your facility. Wonderful facility, by the way. I'm thankful for that you let me come in and gave me a beer and everything like that.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers to you, Brad. How's your day going?
It's been pretty good. Somebody dropped me off pie. Any day I get pie is a damn good day. So I ate pie today, so I'm pretty excited about that. We got people drinking beer for $1 today, so they're pretty excited about that. I'm mostly excited about pie.
Yeah, well, I mean, you get beer every day.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I know you're excited about it, and who wouldn't be excited about beer every day?
Yeah, but the pie, though.
The pie is a rare treat.
Yeah, it's exciting. I ate way too much pie.
That's quite okay. But anyways, Brad, we're here at an unknown brewery.
This is Unknown Brewing Company.
The Unknown Brewery, excuse me.
Well, it's more like Unknown Brewing Company connotates that we're unknown and nobody should know who we are and we're ambiguous. And The Unknown is more about what we're about, is living this life of the unknown and trying things you've never tried and do things you've never done. So to us, The Unknown is more of a mission statement than to be unknown. So that's kind of why we try to keep the in there. Okay. That's the difference between a bag on your head and jumping off a cliff.
Okay.
Bag on your head is unknown. Jumping off a cliff is definitely the unknown.
That's some deep words right there we just started on this podcast with.
Pie. Pie gets real deep, man.
Pie gets real deep.
It
gets real deep real fast. Now, Brad, just kind of take me back. Was this always your dream to start a brewery? Or like
No, I mean, when I grew up, I used to want to be a fire truck as a kid.
an actual fire truck?
Yeah, nobody told me I couldn't be. When my mom told me I could be whatever I wanted to be, and fire trucks were awesome, especially the one that's got the guy that rides in the back of it and turns the back on the the high ladder trucks. So I just really wanted to be a fire truck until I was like 7 or 8. Then I wanted to be an Air Force pilot till I was. I mean, I went through flight school when I was like 16.
Really?
Yeah, I really wanted to be one, and then I found the wonders of late high school of other things, and decided to pursue those ventures, which declined my grades and my pilot schools.
Okay, so I'm guessing those other ventures were beer. Would be probably.
I mean, that'd be illegal to drink under 21, but
Listen, I'll go out on a ledge with you too. I drink underage, so if I'm incriminating myself, so
if you're incriminating, we can do. I might have had a beer.
You might have had a beer
when I was 17.
You might have done a little better than I did then. So I had a feeling.
I might drink 1 or 2,000.
What was your first beer?
I would say my first. I don't know what my first beer was. I know my first drink that I really consider my drink was Boone's Farm.
Boone's Farm. Okay.
Yeah,
you got to work your way in slow.
Well, man, my sister would got me into drinking, and if she's listening, yeah, it's your fault. She drank. I was like, I don't know, can't tell you what age I was, pretty young, and she would bring like, Peach Farm or Boone's Farm, Peach Orchard or Strawberry Hill. It was like candy, and I would just drink the crap out of it and just get wasted in the house. And then I remember getting into beer, and I thought I was like the coolest kid on the block because I drank beer in a green bottle. We used to steal my buddy's dad's beer, and it was Heineken.
Oh,
and
classy.
So yeah, everybody else is drinking, and we're like, y'all are drinking that shitty beer, and we're drinking like Heineken and St. Pauli's Girl, and like we're totally classy. You don't even know.
Exactly.
So that was still years ago, and maybe those were the classy beers at that time, but. I think some of those are the first beers, and of course I was drinking, Natty Light and Steel Reserve and Schlitz and whatever else I could get somebody to walk out of the gas station with.
Oh yeah, my first beer was Busch Light, and I drank that till college. Then it was Keystone Light, and that kind of became like cigarettes in prison. We would just exchange those.
Just trade each other for Keystones.
Yeah, exactly, for stones.
Smooth.
Yeah, so that's how I lived my life early on. But anyways, yeah, there wasn't a lot of like fancy beers when we were growing up. There wasn't a lot of craft beers.
No, I mean that's what I was drinking was the imports. I mean the best they had going was you could get like Bass or Guinness or the St. Pauli's or Heineken. There was Sierra Nevada was just making it out this way, or we could get it, but at my age that was just way too hoppy when I was whatever age that I'm incriminating myself at.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, for me, when I was that age, I just wanted to chug as much as possible and see if I couldn't jump over a fire.
Yeah, because we weren't about taste. It was more about what it did
I
to
used to always say quantity over quality, and it makes me cringe to say that now. But man, I'm young.
Exactly.
Well, not anymore, but I was.
That's right. But when did beer become something that you wanted to try and taste something new and different? Because for me, my dad had a beer can collection, and I tried to replicate that in college and try different beers, and I started to notice something. And I wouldn't say that I have an educated palate, but I have enough to know a difference in beer. Did that epiphany ever come to you at any point in time as a young man? Yeah, but
it did start for me that way. So I went to junior college and continued to drink the shittiest beer I could get my hands on. It was a deal whether if you had $5, do you get 2 double cheeseburgers, or do you get a case of High Lifes, and you get a case of High Lifes.
Exactly.
But then I flunked out of junior college, and I went to go work for a decorative store folding duvet covers. It's a long story. I got kicked off my girlfriend's mother's couch. It was just crazy, but I was doing that, and I quit. I was like, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I'm just going to go do something else in my life, and I went to a brewery, and it was still about that. A brewery was Sweetwater, Atlanta. Back then, it was like $5 all you can drink.
Wow.
And I didn't care about what I was drinking. I was drinking whatever I get my hands on. I was 21 years old. At this point, at 21, I just wanted to drink. I like Pep. By this point, I was off the Heinekens and Bass, but I was still very, very green. I thought I was I knew everything was crap, but I was drinking just really low. Some of the entry crafts. Some of those crafts by then weren't even that very good. But I went to this brewery after work of quitting, and $5 I just started drinking, and it was fun. But I think what really got me in craft was just the pure industry of it was just looking in the back and seeing steam going and brewers carrying grain. And I think they were playing Ted Nugent Stranglehold in the background. And you just see them walking around with forklifts going and bottles clinging and clanging and kegs getting flipped and trucks getting loaded. And you're like, holy shit, this is America. And like, so I actually got into that aspect and just wanted to do that. I wanted to be a part. There's so many jobs out there where people do these days, but there's so few jobs where people actually use their hands and create something anymore. And this is one of those jobs where you can instantly see from the start to finish something that you just put your sweat into that actually comes out. So I'm a really big fan of instant gratification. And it's pretty close to it when you can pull a beer off of a line that you just made and pop it and drink it and go, yeah, I made that. So it was something I instantly got into. It took a while for me to actually, I was in the business probably 2 or 3 years before I actually grew an affinity for what exactly I was drinking versus that. I mean, I drink everything, but after 2 or 3 years, I started pulling a palate together and starting knowing this is shit beer, this is good beer, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, this is why I don't like it, or it's not my style. I won't say I don't like it. I try anything, but this is not my style, this is my style, this is what I think works together. So I didn't start out with Google eyes for the world's greatest beers and then get in the industry. I started wanting to use blowtorches and drive forklifts and drink Red Bull and work night shifts and listen to rock and roll. And from there, I learned an affinity for what we were actually brewing.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. And that's something that I always say when I talk to, people that work at breweries and people that always, when I talk about how much I like craft beer, because I come from a very Midwest place, and like I said, where everybody still drinks Bud Light and Busch Light, and just it's very whatever. And I tell them you should try some craft beers.
Where are you from in the Midwest?
Preston, Iowa. It's about an hour north of Davenport. So
you ever seen that Davenport, Iowa commercial with Will Ferrell?
No,
that's Davenport, Mississippi. Anyway, continue.
Yeah. I kind of know the commercials you're talking about, but yeah, like it's very much like, oh, craft beer, that kind of sissy beer. Where I like what you just said right there. I've been saying to people for quite some time, there's nothing more American than craft beer, in the sense that, small companies, individuals making and doing what they want to do. They don't have to listen to a middleman, or they're not making, beer for a company that's based in Germany or overseas or whatever. You're making, beer in companies, small
yeah, there's
companies.
no like 7 layers to Kevin Bacon. I mean,
yeah.
If you want to meet me, you walk 3 steps and come into the office and say, Brad.
You meet the owner. You meet the guy
that
brew the beer, the brewmaster. You meet these people. These people are hardworking individuals that don't want to work for the man, and they're trying to, make a capital.
Well, you see me right now. I mean, I couldn't make it in the corporate world.
Exactly.
I drop way too many F-bombs. I come in way too hungover on certain days. And I do a lot of crazy stuff that just doesn't make it.
Yeah.
But it works perfectly in this industry, because as long as you work hard, you have a great dream, and you can make a great product, then that's all it takes.
Exactly. Just working hard and delivering a good product.
And take care of people and be good to others. And so I can do all that really well. I don't wear a suit and tie very well. My neck is way too fat for that. Yeah. I don't want to cut my beard, and I don't want to stop cussing. So I work great in this.
So how do we get from the moment in time where you're drinking all you can drink $5 beers at Sweetwater, and then jumping into working? Did you just ask for a job, or how did that happen?
I was sitting there and I was just looking in the back. I mean, the day was just the most impressive day, and I said, can I come in and I want a job doing this? And when I said that, it just so happened the head brewer walked by and was like, you looking for a job? And I was like, yeah. Did I say that out loud? He said, yeah. He's like, you're a big boy, come in and volunteer on Monday. And I'm like, just coming in and work for free and what? He's like, yeah, we'll just give you some free beers to take home. And I'm like, yeah, all right. So I mean, I was milking unemployment. Now I got beer too. This is sweet. So I went in on Monday, and they had this labeler that was this old piece of shit that just broke. And I don't know how. They had it was a big day. They had a big order going out, and they're all just frustrated by this machine. They're all standing over going, rubble. And I don't know how. Somehow I wound up under the machine with a wrench where I'm working on it, and I don't know how. I just was under it, and it looks like a Swiss watch. There's 1,000 gears under this thing, and I'm just banging something here and kicking that. I don't know what the hell I'm looking at. And all of a sudden, it just starts working. I don't know what I did. It just worked, and I'm like, come out, and they're like, yeah, new guy, you fixed it, you saved the day. And I'm like, yeah, I totally did that. I fixed the RJ 221 over there, and the XP 149 was all tweaked ratio camshaft. And I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And they're like, hey, we should hire this guy like full time. And they're like, yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, because this machine breaks down all the time.
Yeah, now this guy is the foremost expert of it. I'm like, yeah, I know all about this machine. It's like, I've had one of these since I was a kid. Which I don't know what the hell this machine even does. And so they hired me. So I started out minimum wage on the bottling line, on the keg line, stacking cases, stacking kegs like 110 degrees, stacking like a case every 2.5 seconds at Sweetwater. I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I mean, I worked with my shirt off, just, lean, mean 21-year-old kid making beer. Bottles were clanging, greases on gears. It was the world's greatest thing. So from there, I just kind of got really good. And the line was really old, so we worked really hard, and it kept breaking, and I kept fixing, and it kept breaking. And eventually we got a new bottling line, and they said, can you build the next one and help us build it? At this point, I pretty much knew most of the components, so I helped build a line and started working my way up to where I was helping engineer stuff and install stuff and really move up in the company.
So what was your next promotion after that? What was your next spot?
After that, kind of hit the glass ceiling on those guys. They were growing in other directions, and Terrapin Brewing Company called in Athens, Georgia, and they're like, hey, we're expanding our bottling line and putting some new lab stuff together and bringing some people. You mind coming in here and helping us build this brewery? And it's like, yeah, hell yeah. I mean, I love Georgia Bulldog. So went up to Athens and hung out with those guys and spent about 6 months. They offered me a full-time gig to work there, and I was pretty stoked about that. During this time, it was kind of like a contract with them. So I was still putting out resumes to get a real gig. And the same week that Terrapin offered me the job, Rogue Brewing Company called Newport, Oregon. Like, hey, we're hiring for a production manager. You want to come be our production guy? I'm like, yeah, I know all about that. I was like 25 years old. But yeah, totally got that figured out. I know exactly what I'm doing. As you can tell by now, I always jump in way over my head. So yeah, I went to Rogue, and I'm in this seat in the middle of Newport, Oregon, getting directions from Portland, running the main brewery, the distilleries, flying back and forth to brew pubs, and it's way over my head. It was awesome.
Well, how did so you got it over your head? Were you just a fast learner, or did you find the people that kind of knew what they're doing and glom onto them?
I mean, I've always had my mentors that you can always kind of learn from, but it's definitely a sink or swim business, and I'm real good when you throw me to the fishes is find out how to do it. I'm a really fast learner. I think passion gets you a long way too, because if I want to succeed, I want to make great beer, I want customers to be happy, I want my employees to love what we're doing. And so every day that's what drives me. Is just I want this so bad that I wouldn't quit. Every time that other employees would just drop out, I'd stay late, and when somebody wouldn't come there, I'd fill the job. I really just every day it drove me, so I just really stayed after it.
Okay, that's fantastic. Now, when you were at Rogue, you were up there living in Portland. What was that like? That whole.
Well, I was out at the main plant in Newport, which is on the coast, which is great. I mean, the brewery itself sits on the water, like right on the water. Like I'd go outside and pee off the back of the brewery, right into the ocean, which is kind of weird because I would also throw my crab pots out there and catch crab, pretty much in the same area I'd pee. But I mean, salt water.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a pretty big ocean.
Yeah.
But yeah, you go to work and you throw like a can of Spam on a tuna trap or on a crab pot off the back, and you go to work and you get done, you pull the crab trap up, and you got Dungeness crab for dinner.
That's gotta be amazing.
And it was a great brew. The guys that I worked with were awesome. I mean, John Meyer and the gang were salt of the earth, and learned a lot from those guys. I mean, I got my ass handed to me, but in a good way, and you really have to learn quick. And I did. So I had a really good stint with those guys, and Newport was awesome. And living out in Portland, you just get such an appreciation. The South is coming up really, really well, but when I left the South, there was really Sweetwater and Abita.
Yeah,
it's really all that was going on. Terrapin just came on board. I think Foothills was a brew pub at the time. Highlands was around for sure. But other than that, there really wasn't much going on in the South. And I went to this Northwest where, everything's going. There's Widmer and Bridgeport and Full Sail and Deschutes. And the Rogue and the Namekins can go on. And even Seattle's and North California beers. It was a whole other thing. So, the craft beer was just alive and well. And they just, it's so educated of a palate that just, if you make bullshit, it just doesn't get through. It just doesn't fly. So everybody's just really bringing the heat on good beers, and it was just a really good craft scene.
Mm-hmm. What do you think caused that? I mean, you've seen that grow, and you've probably seen this grow a little bit. What was the thing that kind of gets a craft beer scene going?
I mean, I think it started out as a regional thing, and I think being the geographically close to hops and some of the liberal laws that happened kind of in the West Coast first, kind of opened up the craft scene more on the West Coast. So I think geographically they were able to start up a little closer, but I think geographically people moved to that area, learn about craft. They moved, they like those areas. They get overcrowded. They decided to move to Colorado and New York and other areas. They bring what they learn from there. Those areas grow. Then people from Colorado, New York, and everywhere else start moving to the South. They learn, they grow. So I think it's kind of a transplant craft virus of goodness.
Okay.
I won't say virus. That's a negative.
Yeah, that's definitely a negative thing.
I mean, if it's a good sickness, then it's a sickness I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like a love virus.
Yeah, there you go. Love.
A virus of love.
A virus of love.
Yeah.
A virus of beer.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm afflicted.
So anyways, your time up there in Rogue, where'd you go next? What's the next company you worked for?
At that point, I'd pretty much gone through the gambit of most jobs. I mean, I've worked on the bottling line and engineering and production and brew house and some sales stuff and financials. And
so you kind of got a well-rounded education up there.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably by the end of my Rogue days. I'm on year about 6, 7. I decided I wanted to start my own brewery. One, it rains like 300 days a year in the Northwest, and there's so many hippies. And there's nothing wrong with hippies.
There's nothing wrong with it, yeah.
I've listened to so many jam bands and have done equal to more amounts of illicit drugs as the rest of them. But it's just too many of one thing, just over and over. I go to work and it was
like a little normalcy every once in a while.
There's just got to be a blend of people. Not everybody can be, protesting Montesano at the same time. You got to do other stuff.
There's got to be some people that don't know what Montesano is.
Sometimes I just want to tell a fart joke. I just want to talk about football and farts and beer and, hey, guess what this guy did yesterday? Yeah. And they would go, well, guess what Montesano did yesterday? Hey, what's up with your GMOs? Like, is that, and I'm like, I don't care. Yeah. I just want to, tell a fart joke.
Yeah.
Plus it rained and it was just me and my wife, and we were just really far from home for years. So every vacation we took was the home. So we never got a vacation. I was just trying to fly home, spend a day getting there, a day getting back, and one day to see your entire family, my family, her family. So we decided it's best to move back to the South. I was like, we should start our own brewery if we're going to move back to the South. We came to Charlotte for a few trips to see family, and all of a sudden this market in the South is just booming.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we started, I went there and did a consulting job with a brewery in Olympia, Washington, kind of on a little gig, and they said, hey, we know you're starting your own brewery, just come here, help rebuild our brewery, and while you're doing so, we'll let you completely work on your stuff. So I was flying to Charlotte on weekends, working there on weekdays, just burning both ends of the stick to get this place up and running. Finally, about 2 years ago, we're like, all right, well, this place is up and running in Olympia. My business plan's done. My financing is close. Good as time as any, so we just took the leap, filled our entire car with everything we owned, and drove across the country, started up shop.
All right. Now, you said you kind of troubleshooted there for Olympia. Like, when a company brings in and troubleshoots, what do you look at? Like, when you walk it through the doors, what's the first thing you're looking for to try and fix and help the company like that?
What's the problem? I mean, is the problem a financial issue? Is it quality of beer? Is it personnel?
Because Olympia is a beer that's been around for years.
Well, this wasn't Olympia Brewing. Like, it's the Water Olympia. This was another brewery, and I'm talking about Treble, so I'd rather just not name the name. Yeah. They're doing fine now.
Yeah. But it was in Olympia.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
And so they're doing really good now, but at the time they were in some trouble. And you just look for, how's it working, how's it not working, and what are they doing counterintuitive to production. And so, you had to do a lot of things, and sometimes it's endemic of just a lot of inbreeding, and I don't mean like people are sleeping with their cousins.
Yeah.
It's just that, a lot of people create a family environment where they never want to bring anybody from the outside, so they train up, which is great. I mean, it's always best to train people in relation to what they know. But every once in a while, you need to bring somebody in, and I think the problem with one of these breweries was they never did that. So a little piece of knowledge was lost every time in translation to the fact that the guy who's doing it now actually has no clue why he's doing it, just somebody told him to do it. So we had to really kind of reteach theory, reteach process, reteach SOP, start working on some financial things, and turned it around. But it was awesome because that was the perfect dry run. It wasn't my money. I had full reign to do whatever I wanted to do, and my chance to take all kinds of problems that breweries already have and get my chance to change them and turn them in the right direction on a bunch from sales, every portion of a brewery. So it was a beautiful dress rehearsal for your own brewery.
Yeah, I imagine so. I mean, that's got to be like, because you're basically running the whole thing. You know where the problems are. You foresee that in the future. Like, I'd rather do this so this doesn't happen, and make sure that this doesn't happen, and make sure. I mean, it's kind of they got this right, so I'm going to make sure I implement this.
It's like open heart surgery. It's like spending your whole time in medical class. Now, your first time, this patient is opened up. Find all the sicknesses, fix them, close the patient up, and see if you can get them to survive. That's your final test. So I did that, and I think I did it with flying colors, and that company's doing great now, so I think it's working. But yeah, I felt really good at that point. And I was like, all right, on to Charlotte we go.
All right. Well, now that you're here, but also too, before, your company is very unique. Anybody that looks at your website, anybody that sees your branding and the way that you guys present yourself. My girlfriend works as a bartender downtown, and the second that your beers came into a restaurant, she immediately was talking about your guys' beer. Now, obviously, that type of, branding and everything that you want with your beers and stuff like that, there had to be a lot of thought behind that. So just in the conception of your mind, what were you thinking about? What do you want to present as far as beer, as far as a brewery, as far as a brand, before you ever put one brick down?
Well, for me, I didn't want to create a beer. I mean, I do want to create beer. Yeah. Let's not get that wrong. But when I created the Unknown, I wanted more to me, everything is an extension of my culture, of my life, of how I'm living. Beer is just a part of that life, just as what we do. So beer is a product that I make, but I really just wanted to teach people of this lifestyle. It's a crazy, unique life we have. And so to me, the Unknown is more about broadcasting a culture and broadcasting this, don't take life seriously, try new things, have fun with stuff, really go outside your comfort zone and really just get out there because you only have one life to live. And so I did that. And so I said, how do I create that? First, name my brewery The Unknown. Second, I create wild, crazy beers that do it. And 3, just have really, fun packaging of things that people don't do. Kind of mix it up as much as possible.
Now, you talk about the brand, but let's talk about some of the nuts and bolts. Now, obviously, when you had to get this land and everything else, what are some hoops you have to jump through, maybe on a legal aspect, maybe on a building aspect, that you have to go through just to start your own brewery? I mean, you can have a great idea, but there's a lot of nuts and bolts to get us there.
Yeah, I mean, I probably wanted to quit 30 times when starting this brewery. I mean, I'd wake up every morning ready to go, and we'd go to bed every night damn near in tears, just going, why does this got to be so hard? Like, I just don't understand why it's got to be so hard. I mean, I've ran breweries before. You write a check, the tank comes in. You bring the grain, you mill it, ferment it, it turns into beer. But starting a business and running a brewery, I mean, I've met a lot of guys that go, hey, I've been home brewing. I think I got this now. And please follow your dream. Don't stop because of this podcast. Just understand there is so much more to starting a business than just getting a beer to one side or the other. One, that beer's got to be quality start to finish. But 2 is just, we had to go through getting the building, and this building got sold out from under us, and then finding the new buyers and then buying it for 25% more than the first buyers. Then when we finally signed the lease, the C says you can't have the building. It's not zoned to be a brewery. And then you have to fight 5 laws and get those laws changed to change the laws. And then once you do that, you have to go through, 6 months of permits and review plans and build out another 6 months of inspections. And just that whole time you're paying rent on the building and you're spending investors' money. And so, I mean, it's tough. We went through a lot of stuff to get started, I guess is the long and short of it. There's just a lot. I mean, I know if you're another brewery owner out there right now, or I think when you probably understand exactly what I'm talking about right now. It's a bitch.
Yeah, I think especially in North Carolina, because it's always been very heavily regulated and stuff like that.
Well, I don't think as far as like getting an NCABC permit or a TTB license, it's regulated, but it's run of the mill. Like, here's a form, fill the form out, wait 70 days, 90 days, 6 months, whatever the form is, and it comes in. I think a lot of our stuff happened just at the local level of, there's so many laws, and craft is totally a new scene on some of the local levels that you try to do this thing, and they still have that old mentality of, craft beer is the devil, and we might as well be bootleggers, totally leading their kids down the path of cocaine. versus we're just guys that make grain into sugar water, make a great product that people can enjoy. I mean,
An American product that creates jobs.
Well, you don't hear about craft beer drinkers getting, shit-faced and fighting in the streets and robbing people and crash stuff. That just doesn't happen in there because people here are more to appreciate the product that we're making than, when I told the C, I said, you find me one instance where a craft brewer doesn't come online, open a building, and doesn't infect their community in a greater way. I mean, it doesn't turn into little Tijuana where people are outside, throwing craps and pissing on the wall. It becomes places where people get together after business, do business meetings. People create relationships. People have been engaged in our brewery here. People have their weddings here. This becomes a kind of a social commune. And so it was really hard to get the city to really get focused on that. But once they did, and they really helped us pass some laws, it's helped other breweries open up in Charlotte. And altogether, I think it'll be a great thing for craft. So would I ever do it again? Hell no. Way too tough. I'm glad I did it now. And I'm glad that it's so hard because it keeps a lot of people that think they want to start a brewery out of it. Because if you actually can make it through the hurdles, you probably deserve to be here.
Yeah, because it seems like there's a lot of hurdles to get through. Yeah.
More than the Olympics, man. More than the Olympics.
So you're saying it'd be a lot easier for you to win the 100-meter breaststroke than it would for you to open a brewery sometimes?
I mean, I can swim. I could probably 100-meter the shit out of a breaststroke. It'd probably be easier for me to win a 100-meter real hurdle race at my size than to get through. If you gave me a pick right now, like, hey, I want you to jump those 60 hurdles as fast as you can.
You do that easier than probably.
I'd do it 10 times before trying to start this whole process again.
Well, I mean, this is obviously we're seeing kind of the finished product and stuff like that. Did everything that you wanted in the place turn out the way you wanted? I mean, is there something else you wanted, or is there something you envision in the future, like maybe a larger tap room or larger production area and stuff like that?
No, we got most of it we wanted. The cool thing is that I got to design everything here. Mm-hmm. And using my background, I actually got to spend time on AutoCAD and build the brew system I wanted from scratch, build the fermenters I wanted from scratch. I bought everything all American made, all the spec, all the way I wanted. I've got plenty of space. So on the brew side, I lacked for nothing. The tap room, we were just under budgeted when we started. So it started off as just a bar with a few chairs. So it was sparse to say the least, very sterile. But now we've added more, way more tables and fixtures and a 6-foot hop chandelier, and a patio goes on next week. And
oh wow, that's fantastic.
I think it's now got a way better feel than it did, say, a year ago.
No, your production area is incredible. I remember this place opening up, and like I said, I've heard about this place for quite some time, even before I ever started this project, and it's just unbelievable, and it's overwhelming how much work you put into it, and how much space you have in here, and just that whole thought process. So I commend you on that for sure. So, but anyways, let's talk about some of the beer you wanted to brew. Like what you want on your product line. So, because everybody has their seasonals, everybody has their year-round favorites, and it's all different and stuff like that. What was your thought process in creating, like, I guess, a beer menu in a sense?
Well, I mean, the first things I needed to make for a beer menu, these are big fermenters. Each one of these fermenters holds 13,000 pints of beer per 120 barrel fermenter. That math could or could not be wrong. I think it's like 13,000 pints. Mm-hmm. So to fill these fermenters, your first beers have to be something that is widely accepted. So our core beers, which everybody, will go, yeah, those aren't the most creative beers in the world. I mean, every beer doesn't have to have shark fins in it and scorpions and lemon balm and whatever else people put in beers. Some of them do. But you can just make a good beer to style. And for us, there's the beers that we're selling in America and then still are selling in America are IPAs, pales, wheats, session ales. So we decided to do our core based on what people want, not necessarily what I want to brew, but what people are drinking. So I want to make the best beer I can of those styles. So we made those beers. Then we added seasonals that were kind of more of an extension of what we want to do, being our stouts and porters and our session IPAs and our Southern Hospitalities beer like that. And then, the more and more you get crafty, the more and more you get niche. Because there's always going to be somebody that doesn't like what you do. So you have to make that a smaller and smaller segment. So that's when we started doing our big beer releases, our scorpion beer, where we had scorpions and peppers and
Yeah, I saw that Scorpion beer. I haven't tried it or anything like that, but just the mere description and the name of it just seems very unique and stuff like that.
Yeah, I woke up in Wilmington one morning and I was kind of just relaxing before I had to take off. Just kind of laying in bed. It was a hot day and the air conditioner was real cold. I was just flipping through the TV channels, and I was watching Married with Children, and there was like this Spanish news anchor, and she said her name. She went on for like 3 minutes. It was like Randa Veracusta Martinez de Jose de Cardenal, and she just went straight up, and I laughed my ass off. And so I decided, I was like, man, I'm going to come up with this beer, and it's just going to have the best name ever. Mm-hmm. And so I've always been fascinated by the Chupacabra, the mythical blood-sucking goat. Mm-hmm. I was like, man, this thing, and we're putting scorpions in this beer, so I had to come up with just a name. So I was like, Le Jornada del Escorpión en Fuego de Casa es Chupacabra Muerta. And just have this big old name, which means, the path of the fiery scorpion through the house of the dead Chupacabra. And, first off, we just want to make it a Mexican Imperial Lager, which we actually used a Mexican yeast. The problem was that high of alcohol, we would leave a bunch of residual sweetness behind, so it'd just be an overly sweet beer. So usually what I think about with the sweet beer is use some sugars that actually dry it out. Honey is a good source to dry out a beer. I said, well, instead of honey, let's use agave nectar because that's closer to the style. So you put agave in it, and now we have a beer that's kind of a lager. It's kind of cleaned up a little bit, but that's just not enough. So we want let's barrel age it and put it in some tequila. And well, let's just do peppers too. So then we threw serranos, and I think somebody suggested, in one barrel we should put one scorpion, and that just set me off. I'm like, no, we should totally throw 99 scorpions in this beer.
Why one? You get 99.
Well, some people are like, I saw some things where like, oh, this is those guys are just being gimmicky, and I mean, gimmicky to me notes that you have like a marketing team that sits up in an office with a dry erase board and go like, we should do this gimmick. To us, we're just having fun, and I don't ever want to take that out of beer where you can't just say, let's do something fun, and I don't care if people like it or don't. It's going to be fun.
It's going to be fun, and also too, it does stick out on a menu when you read,
And so if gimmick if gimmick means fun, then I guess it is gimmicky.
And if nothing else, it makes you different than everybody else.
But it's also gimmicky. Like if you watch shows, if somebody puts flames on the back of their motorcycle, does that add horsepower? No. But it's badass. If you have a playmate jump out of a birthday cake, does it make the birthday cake taste any better? No, but that's badass.
Yeah.
These things we do, it's just fun to do it, and it was a one-off bottle, so we did that. But some of the things we know that we're doing now are kind of just to push the boundaries of what regular craft are. So we have both sides of it. I still believe in trying to make a really clean session ale, pale ale. There's something to be said. I mean, I can take a beer and I can throw a shit ton of hops in there and throw scorpions, whatever, and totally cover up any imperfection. It's like putting bacon in something. Mm-hmm. It actually takes a lot greater brewer to actually make a very clean cut to style beer that's actually just a good beer. I mean, I think the art of the pale ale has died, where people just don't order pale ales anymore. And there are some damn good pale ales where people are taking an ale yeast and great malts and just a few hops and making a very clean product where you can't hide it behind a double IPA bill. You can't hide it behind cocoa nibs and coconut and raspberries. It's just out there. It's the difference between like classical guitar and rock and roll. There's a time where you throw distortion on something, you totally just let it slide. There's a time where you actually see some good style and technique. So I think we go both ways, where people ask me, what would I rather brew, the crazy stuff or the simple stuff? Man, some of the simple stuff is way harder to brew than the crazy stuff. The crazy stuff, I'm just throwing shit in a beer. The simple stuff, you got to watch your temperatures, how clean it is, where the temperature is on the fermentation, how you're cleaning up the yeast. All these things, conditioning becomes way more of a factor than I'm just going to throw a bunch of hot sauce in something.
Exactly. I totally agree, because a lot of people it's a large marketplace, so everybody's got their own IPAs, they've got their own pale ales, they've got their own whatever, and you're competing against all that. I mean, anybody can come up with something crazy and it stands out. But yes, it's just doing good rock and roll, you know what I'm saying? Putting out a good rock song.
I always think you got to be able to play a good classical guitar before you can play good rock and roll, though.
Yeah.
Like, you got to know the fundamentals and rock those. We put all kinds of stuff in beer, but if the base beer can't stand up by itself, then you shouldn't try the other stuff. Don't put a bunch of distortion on a shitty guitar song.
Absolutely. Well, what inspires you to come up with some of these, crazy like recipes for beer? What are some things that like inspire you to be like, oh, I want to do this. I want to do a Mexican Imperial and do it this way. Or, you know, what are some things like, oh, I want to do something that's got orange in it. Like what is it that strikes you? You know,
I have no clue. I don't know. Stuff just happens in my head.
Well, like what type of stuff has happened to some of the stuff you have in your product lines?
A lot of stuff happens. We come up with a name first.
Okay. And then you build off
which
that.
is vice versa. To people come with a beer and then come with a name. Sometimes names come out. Here's some like, we should totally make a beer called that. And then I think like, what does that name mean? Or what would fit that name? I'm like the Cake Boss, where he comes up with stuff and then he makes a cake based off the client. So I just make stuff based off of a name. I'll come with a name. So that I came up with the name way before I came up with the Scorpion beer. And then it kind of worked its way there. Dirty Commie Heathen was the name I came up for way before I came up with a beer. Teleporter was a name I came up with before. So I usually a name hits me first, and then I think like, you know, what goes with us. We just did a beer for South End where they want to do a beer, and they said, you know, we're going to bring out a capoeira drum line to your place. I'm like, a Brazilian drum line? They're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, like, can you brew a beer? I'm like, okay, a Brazilian drum line, Brazilian beer, the Redeemer, which is, you know, the Virgin Mary over Rio. So the Redeemer, like, now we need to find some Brazilian stuff. So I Google box it, and it's like a whole list, and a lot of them were fish. So I didn't really want to do anything with fish that day. But I was like, acai berries are awesome, and sugar cane's great, and yerba is a tea. They make a lot down there. I was like, so let's just do you know, some smoked yerba, sugar cane, acai berries, a little tartness, smokiness. Let's do a funky yeast with this. We did a red saison with yerba side something and call it the Redeemer. So it's just kind of a progression of things where I usually start with a name and kind of what's the client looking for, and then I kind of build off of that. But I have no clue where the hell most of this stuff comes from.
Yeah,
it just happens.
No, that's incredible. Have you ever made anything, like you ever been inspired something and then you try it and the execution just never worked out? You're like, if I would have done this, or something you've come up with and you know you can do, or you know you can do better. Like, do you have like a Moby Dick of a type of beer that you want to make? That's
a good question. Yeah, there's one I'm working on right now. If you're listening to this and you steal my idea, I'll murder you in your sleep.
I'll murder you too. Why not?
Actually, fuck it. Try it. Can I say that on your podcast?
Go right ahead. Yeah, fuck it.
No, try it. Fuck it. Try it. If you can make this off, tell me how to make it, because I can't get it right. I wanted to make a beer called the Black Tie Affair, which was like a double black IPA with green curry and coconut. Where it's almost like this green curry double black IPA. I came up with the name first, Black Tie Affair, THAI.
Yeah, I get the double.
The double entendre.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
I thought that's usually sexual when they say that.
Well, I mean the double tie. I get it.
Anyway, I use the name and I can't get it right. I've used like definitely don't use the green curry paste because there's a lot of garlic in that. And so the first thing came out way too garlicky. The second thing ended up being a lot of that curry aroma, but the flavor didn't come out right. I just think that if I make this beer and you have the roastiness of the black malts and that saffron greenish herbal curry going, and you use some really great citrus hops and lemongrass and create this kind of, it's a beautiful, almost tropical appeal double IPA with a lot of effervescence. That'd be an amazing beer. I just can't pull it off. I've tried it 3 times now and it's just not working. I'll give it another go. I'm not one to quit it.
No, nor should you.
I don't say it's a hard one. That one and just doing a really true Pilsner, which I told you is the opposite. So a true Pilsner, just doing 100% Pilsen malt, super, super clean yeast. I can make a good Pilsner and it's clean and it'll drink. But to make one of these ones that, you know, I'm a real big fan of like Pilsner Urquell, OMB does their Captain Jack, I think is a super, super clean one.
Yeah, totally. Cause I like Pilsners as well. I mean, I like hoppy beers, but every once in a while, I just like a nice Pilsner.
Yeah, I don't want to think, I just want clean. That's what I'm looking for, just a good...
But real sharp. It almost kind of
cuts with the but you also want to have the kind of little leftover, you know, sulfides of the yeast. So for me to make, I've made a few Pilsners now, but for me to make just I don't know, I've set the bar really high. For a Pilsner, I want like put a little case around it, they open it up, and there's the most improper glassware to serve it out of.
Yeah.
And then but just an amazing. So on one scale, I've got this beer that's totally herbal and earthy and a bunch of shit in it, and I can't get it right. On the other hand, just a truest Pilsner. I can make a good one, but it's not this. I'm not going to be happy. It's like drawing the perfect circle.
Yeah.
There's like I can't remember. There was an Asian guy that is the only man in the history that was known for drawing a hand-drawn perfect circle.
Oh, I don't know about that.
He's the only man that's ever drawn one.
Yeah.
At least I saw that in a movie somewhere.
Yeah, but that would be the perfect analogy for a Pilsner because that's what everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, I can get close, and my ends will touch on the circle.
Yeah.
But to hand draw the perfect circle is like making the perfect Pilsner. It's tough. I mean, you try drawing a perfect circle. Can't do it.
Don't ask me. My handwriting's horrible.
I can draw a circle. It's just not the perfect one.
Yeah, exactly. But is there any ones if you really tried it and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got it, and like like anyone that you just nailed like perfectly, like maybe like first try or something like that. You just had an idea and just like bam.
A lot of them happen that way, and I think a lot of it just happens to be like cooking. And I use analogies. We've already used like 20 analogies in this thing.
That's fine. It's the analogy podcast.
That's how I think of stuff. Everything in my mind.
I'm the same way
because
because sometimes people don't understand what we're saying.
People are like, how do you know it's going to work out? Well, if it was my first time brewing, I guess I wouldn't know it's going to work out. It's like if it was your first time making spaghetti, you're like, I don't know if I should use tomatoes or orange peels, which one will work. But if you've made spaghetti for 5 years, tomato paste, pasta, ground beef, sausage, basil, basic ingredients. Well, then after that, you come with an idea like, well, this time I want to try a vodka sauce and flip it up. Well, you pretty much know how that's going to turn out. I mean, it might be a little different than you think, but you've got a general aspect of how it's going to turn out. This time instead of basil, I'm going to try, or this time instead of sausage, I'm going to try chorizo. And then you think of the Spanish seasonings and chorizo, so now you might put a little too much chorizo, or the chorizo you bought might be greasy, so next time I'll use a little less or a little more. But once you've made enough spaghetti, you kind of know the basic ingredients it takes to make a good spaghetti. Or if you barbecue, right? You might change the rub up a little bit, but basically that you're going to get a pig out of that smoker, and it's going to be pretty tender, and it's going to be edible. Sometimes you're like, I should use a little less salt, a little more pepper, a little bit more pig smoke, whatever you were thinking, but you can get pretty damn close if you've done it long enough.
Now, I hate to put numbers on anything, but like, let's say you brew a beer and it doesn't turn out quite right, cost-wise, is that quite a bit of cost, for you? Or you
yeah, I mean, our system's a bigger system. That's why I kind of wish I had a smaller system. It's great to have a big system because if I get demand, I don't fret about it. But at the same time, if I fuck something up, well, there's a lot of stuff to deal with. It's a lot of beer I got to dump if it happens. Thank God it hasn't happened to us here yet. But yeah, I mean, every time you do a tank, it's all those hops and all that grain and everything you do. And if it goes south, you're stuck with it, and you're not going to put it out there. You got to dump it.
Yeah, that's gonna suck. I can't imagine what that would cost.
I mean, raw cost is if you just put in the grain and hops and stuff is between $20 to $50 to $60 a barrel. But then you got to add in the cost of the labor and the tank time and the fermenters and the taxes and the lights and the rent and everything you did holding that beer in there for 2 weeks when you could have been brewing another beer. And when you brew that beer, if you have to short it and drop it down the drain, well, now you got to spend 2 or 3 more weeks. It takes another week to order the grain, 2 more weeks in the tank, getting the distributor to pick it back up. You can lose a month of sales doing it too. So just between both, I mean, pure raw cost is not the biggest cost of dropping it. It's just all that crap that goes around. It's running out of sales, running out of taps. That tap's now taken over by someone else. You're not going to get that tap back for 6 months because you screwed up a batch. I still got to pay the salespeople whether that beer's sold or not. I still got to pay my rent one way or the other. All that stuff together makes it a really expensive dump.
Man, that's got to be rough. But that's the thing. That's the thing with small business and the gamble of it all the time. It's just an expense like that for,
Just roll it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully you know what you're doing.
Absolutely. Well, you obviously know what you're doing. You've kind of been around. Like, I see you in a lot of different places now. It seems like your distribution's growing. What are some places you're growing into? Like, what's your distribution area?
We're in North Carolina, from Outer Banks all the way to Asheville, so everywhere in North Carolina now. And we just opened up small spots in South Carolina now, kind of around the border, Columbia, Spartanburg, and Greenville.
You got a good sales team out? Like, you got a group of people that do that and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, we got a huge sales team. 3 people. 3 people for 2 states just running around ragged trying to sell it. That's the other problem with startup is you got to pay people, whether you make a lot of beer or a little beer, but it takes sales to make sales. So, yeah, we got 3 people, and they're just as dedicated to the passion of making craft as the rest of us. So they're out every day preaching the gospel. The good news is they're not just preaching the gospel for our company; they're preaching the gospel for craft, and a lot of it takes going out to a lot of regions and just educating people on whether it be our beer or others. Why pick a quality beer over this what you're drinking or the other. And so I think our salespeople, everybody else salespeople, it's good for craft one way or the other to have salespeople out there because they're the front lines of the gospel right now. All I do is make sugar water. They're the ones out there selling it that it's better than someone else's sugar rice water.
Exactly. But what else can we expect from the future as far as your growth and where you're headed? You just celebrated your 1-year anniversary.
Yep.
My girlfriend was actually here for your 1-year anniversary celebration and stuff like that. It was a wonderful time. It was a nice setup. I wasn't able to come. I had to work, but I heard it was wonderful. So you're celebrating year 1. What can we expect here in year 2?
I mean, I think year 1 was definitely putting gas in the tank, and year 2 is hitting the throttle. It took a while for us to figure out those little kinks, and those first few months were bumpy to say the least. We made it was a decent product, but it wasn't the best. We had to figure out all the kinks in your system and make basic spaghetti. Now we're figuring out.
You got a new kitchen though, so
got a whole new kitchen, so you got to figure out how not to burn the bottom of the pan, and got a whole new type of noodle.
The oven's a little different than the last one you cooked on.
Yeah, so you got to take that out. Plus, you got a bunch of new cooks cooking spaghetti with you, so. It's just a whole system to learn. Even if you know what you're doing, you can figure it out faster if you know what you're doing, but you still have to figure it out. But then, we grew into it. Now the system does what we want. Our team knows what they're doing. I sometimes know what I'm doing. And now I think we generally have a basis for this year, and I think this year just push the throttle and add more stuff. We've already released 3 new beers this year. We got barrel-aged stuff. Sour's about to come out. Session IPA. Our hospitality's back. And about 3 or 4 other beers this year that'll really come out. And 1 or 2 more of those just super crazy beers that we're starting to get known for. A bunch of collaborations. I'm collaborating on Oregon next week. And then collaborations with some local breweries, some South Carolina breweries, some international breweries. Really just trying to push the throttle and see how far out we can get with this thing.
Oh, awesome. I got nothing but the best for you guys. You guys do a wonderful product, and just sitting here talking to you today was just wonderful. I get a vibe of who you are. You're an awesome guy. You got an awesome mind for what this business is about and about America in a sense.
Gotta love this America.
Exactly. Now, how can people find out about you? Where can they get your beer? How can they find out about you on social media? We're
on the Twitter webs and the Instagram and the Interbox and the Snatch Chap. I don't think we're on Snapchat.
Yeah.
That's a different website.
Yeah, it's for like dick pics and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Now we're on Twitter, Unknown Brewing, or at Unknown Brewing, Unknown Brewing on Facebook. UnknownBrewing.com is the website. Check it out. You can see a video of me in my underwear drinking scotch. But there's also some good stuff and informative stuff on there. Really cool put together website. You can also come by and drink it with us in the tap room. I'm here every week, so if you find me, just come talk to me. I think, one of the more approachable people you can meet in the world. I don't really give 2 shits. Just come hang out with me. We're all in this together to drink good beer and have a good time. So it's probably no other way you can find me unless you use the bat signal for the El Camino symbol. Okay. And the El Camino will come driving.
With the little question mark, put it up in the air.
And then you'll just hear the El Camino come roaring.
Okay. Well, awesome. Well, Brad, I thank you for your time. I know you're very busy, but caught you towards the end of the day, so thanks for kind of just hanging out and talking with me today. It's just a real pleasure talking with you. And is there anything else that you want to get out there before we shut the camera off and say our goodbyes?
Yeah, I mean, most important with people, I truly believe in the message that we have about, drink good beer, don't be a snob about it, let beer be part of life, but not your entire life, and go out and live this damn thing. You only got one. You could die tomorrow. You might die tonight after listening to this podcast. You're already wasting time right now by listening to this podcast. Go out, get a chicken suit, wear it to work, even if it gets you fired. Go out, ride a bike to somewhere you've never been. Tell somebody something that embarrasses you. Tell someone you love them that doesn't know it yet. Do something with your life and live in the unknown. That's live without boundaries is all I can say. That's
Awesome.
it.
All right. Well, thank you, Brad. Thank you for your time.
Yep. Cheers.